Okay, so I left off with example 8, and I talked about how the first thing we looked for is left to right movement, which I have in red, but minus 1 means I'm going to move to the right 1 unit. And then we looked about how we talked about the next thing we look for is shrinking or stretching to the number in front of your function or number in front of your x. I have a number in front of the function, which is the 1/2. That 1/2 means I'm going to take a half of all the y coordinates. And then look for a negative sign, that's the reflection across the x-axis because that negative sign is in front of the entire function and not with the x. And then I look for a number added or subtracted at the end, which I have. That plus 3 means I'm going to move up 3 units. Okay, so here's my original function, and I'm going to do all these transformations one step at a time. So in red, I'm going to go ahead and do the right 1 unit for all these points here. So the right 1 unit would go here. This to the right would move it right there, so negative 1, 4. This to the right 1 unit would be 1, 0. This to the 1 movement to the 1 to the right would be 3, negative 2. It would be 5, 0. So we'll go ahead and draw the shape of my graph. I have this. I have this. That's step 1. Okay. Step 2 is to reflect, or not to reflect, to do 1/2 all the y coordinates. So all these points here, I'm going to do 1/2 of those. So here, half of this, half of 0, 0, so it stays there. Here I have a y coordinate of 4, so half of that would go right down here. It would be negative 1, 2. Half this y coordinate, which is 0, is still 0, so that stays there. Oops. Okay, my iPad's back and kind of weird, so there it is, right there. And then here I have this y coordinate of negative 2, so it should move, half of negative 2 is negative 1, so it'll be right there. So 3, negative 1. Then half of this y coordinate, which is right there, of 0 is 0, so it stays right there. Then the third thing I want to do is to reflect across the y or the x-axis. So I'm going to take this right here, go to step 3. I'm going to take all these points and reflect it across the y-axis. So I'm going to go ahead, I keep saying y-axis, I mean the x-axis. The reflect across the x-axis. That's why I write this down, because if I don't write down, I'm going to say it wrong. The reflect across the x-axis. So this point, reflect across the x-axis, stays where it is. This point would now go down here. Okay, so negative 1, negative 2. This point would stay where it is. This point would reflect across the x-axis. It would go up here now. This point would stay on the x-axis right there. I have a curve right here, and I have the point. Okay. And the fourth step is to shift all my points up 3 units. So these points all get moved up 3 units. So 1, 2, 3. One, two, three. We'll go right here. And this point, 1, 2, 3. This point goes 1, 2, 3. This point goes up 3. 1, 2, 3. I have a curve right here, then the point there. This is my final graph. So this is going to be y equals 1 negative 1/2 f of x minus 1 plus 3. So it's very important to follow each step in the correct order that I had on the last page, where you look at left to right movement first, then the stretching or shrinking, then the reflection, and then the up or down movement. Okay? So I'm going to have you guys try one on your own on page 90. Here is your function. Take each one of these transformations and do them in the correct order to come up with your final answer. And actually, before I go ahead and move on, in that last problem, let's go ahead and label our points in the final answer. So I have negative 3, 3, right there. Negative 1, 1, 1, 3, 3, 4, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5, 3. The reason I do that is because when I'm grading this, if you label all your points in the final answer, it's a lot easier for me to grade than they get the correct points. You don't have to label the points here, just your final answer. Okay. So now let's go on your own. In this problem, here's your function. And you look at each of these transformations like I did a second ago and do each step individually. And then your final answer, label your points. Okay? So go ahead and pause the video and then check your answer with mine. Okay, there's my final answer in orange, and those are my ordered pairs. Okay, pause the video for you to check your answer. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and zoom back out, and here are all my steps. First step I did was I moved left 1 unit. Second step is I multiply each y coordinate by a third. Third step is I reflect it across the x-axis. And the fourth step is I move down 2 units. Okay, so there's each of those steps. Okay. Again, if you're watching the video and you're trying to copy it down or check your answers, you can feel free to pause anytime and you can look at the graphs. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and move on to example 9, and we do the same thing. But this time, instead of giving you the original function, they're going to make your own original function. So here I have you the graph of f of x equals x squared to graph this transformation. So before I even get started, I'm going to go ahead and graph x squared. Okay, there is f of x equals x squared. Now I'm going to look at all transformations. I'm going to look at left to right movement. That's where x is. Am I adding something to it or subtracting something from it? So here I'm going to go ahead and say I have a left to right movement. In this case, I have plus 3. I'm going to go to the left 3. First thing I need to do. Then I look out to the front of it, and I see a number in front of the entire function. That tells me I'm going to multiply each y coordinate by 2. I don't see a negative sign anywhere, so a negative sign in front of the function or with the x, so there's no reflection. And then I see a minus 1 at the end. That tells me I'm going to go ahead and do down 2 units. That's the last step I do. That's going to be the third step. Okay, let's start with the problem here. So in red, I'm going to go ahead and do left 3 units. So each of these points, go left 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and so on. Then I'm going to go ahead and multiply each of the y coordinates by 2. That's the second step. I'll do that in green. Y coordinate multiply 2 stay the same. This one becomes, the y coordinate is 1, so it becomes 2, so it goes right there. This y coordinate was 4, so now it becomes 8. This y coordinate was 1, so now it becomes 2. And this y coordinate was 4, so now it becomes 8. In the last step I wrote down 2 units. So everything over here goes down 2 units. So at this point, down 2 would go right there. This one down 2 units would go right here. Down 2 units would go right there. Okay. Down 2 units right there. And this down 2 units would be right here. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and connect these. Let's go ahead and label our points. Make sure you have the same ones. I have negative 3, negative 2, negative 2, 0, negative 4, 0, negative 1, 6, and negative 5, 6. And somehow I made a mistake somewhere. Down 1. Oh, I made a mistake. And anybody catch it yet? I should have gone down 1 unit, and I wrote 2 here, so 1 unit. Okay, let's fix that. Let's erase this, and move everything down 1 unit. So I'm going to go ahead and pause the video and do that real quick so I don't waste time. Okay, so luckily I caught that, and luckily it was in the last step, but instead of moving down 2 units, I should have written down 1 unit. I don't know why I put the 2 there. I must have seen this 2 here. So down 1 unit. So every other step, the previous 2 steps were fine, but from here to here, I wanted to move down 1 unit, not 2. So down 1 unit gave me all these points. If you caught that, great. If you didn't, then you can erase it and fix it like I did. Okay, I got 10 seconds left, so go ahead and pause your video and go do the next one on your own, and then we'll start the video back. Okay, I got 15 seconds left, so here is the correct answer. My original function, move to the right 1 unit, multiply each y coordinate by 2, and then I shifted up 3 units. So if you need to, go ahead and pause and check your answer. We do.